Welcome to our service again this morning. Just like to start off by reading from Revelation chapter 5. This is what John says. Then I saw in the right hand of him who sat on the throne a scroll with writings on both sides and sealed with 7 seals. And I saw a mighty angel proclaiming in a loud voice, "Who is worthy to break the seals and open the scroll?" But no one in heaven or earth or under the earth could open the scroll or even look inside it. I wept and wept because no one was found who was worthy to open the scroll or look inside. Then one of the elders said to me, "Do not weep. See, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, has triumphed. He is able to open the scroll and its 7 seals." Then I saw a lamb, looking as if it had been slain, standing at the center of the throne, encircled by the 4 living creatures and the elders. And the Lamb had 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God, sent out into the earth. He went and took the scroll from the right hand of him who sat on the throne. And when he had taken it, the 4 living creatures and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb. Each one had a harp, and they were holding golden bowls full of incense, which are the prayers of God's people. And they sang a new song, saying, "You are worthy to take the scroll and to open its seals, because you were slain, and with your blood you purchased for God persons from every tribe and language and people and nation. You have made them to be a kingdom and priests to serve our God, and they will reign on the earth." Then I looked, and I heard the voice of many angels, numbering thousands upon thousands and 10,000s upon 10,000s. They encircled the throne and the living creatures and the elders. In a loud voice they were saying, "Worthy is the Lamb who was slain to receive power and wealth and wisdom and strength and honor and glory and praise." Then I heard every creature in heaven and on earth and under the earth and on the sea and all that is in them saying, "To him who sits on the throne and to the Lamb be praise and honor and glory and power forever and ever." The 4 living creatures said, "Amen," and the elders fell down and worshipped. So I'd like to talk to you this morning about a theme that's been on my mind for a few months, something I've picked up in a number of messages that we've had over the last months and things I've been reading. And the message is around culture, what culture is, and particularly modern Western culture and how that is changing, and I guess the changes that we've seen as a result of the pandemic over the last year, and how particularly that relates to our Christian lives and the life of the church. The last year has introduced new phrases into our vocabulary, things that happens all the time, but one of the ones that is I think a little bit grating in some respects is this phrase, "the new normal." Whatever that means, who knows? We do know that the pandemic has brought about changes in behaviour of people in society, or maybe accelerated changes that were already happening. A couple of examples: home working, something that many employers resisted, but has been forced upon them, and in many cases found that it works pretty well. Another example is online shopping. Obviously, high streets have been under pressure for quite some time, but more and more people are now shopping online than ever before, whether it's groceries or clothing or electronics or just general goods. People have had to resort to buying those online, and we've seen that high street shops have closed, gone out of business, and that's a change that is probably going to be around for after the end of the pandemic. What about the church? What impact will it be for the church? We've not been meeting in person, so that habit of meeting on a Sunday morning is lost. I've enjoyed lying on Sunday mornings myself, watching the church service on YouTube with a mug of tea and some toast or a croissant or something. And yes, I confess that occasionally I've had church in my pyjamas. How will we encourage people to come back to a service once normal services restart. It's not just negatives. We've been using technology over the last year, and it's been great to be able to continue that fellowship, to continue to meet online, and to have prayer meetings. So there's been benefits there. But how can we continue to use those things even after the pandemic? And if we do, how will that change the makeup of the fellowship and how we have fellowship in our meetings? I don't want to answer these questions in the talk, and I'll probably turn into a rambling monologue if I do try to do that. But and there are no real quick answers. But what I want to do is really just explore some principles that will encourage us with these changes, not to worry overly about them, and that changes happen, and that as society adapts, the church will adapt as well. Revelation 5 that we read from is a promise to us, particularly that bit tells us about every tribe and tongue and nation, and I'll add culture to that. That the church is for all people everywhere. It's a truth that's through the Bible. From Genesis we read about the promise to Abraham that all nations will be blessed through him. There's a great commission from Jesus in Matthew's Gospel to go out into all the world, and starting in Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and the ends of the world, that the gospel message will go out to all people. And so 3 points that I want to bring out for you this morning. Firstly, that Christianity is culturally adaptable. There's no rules prescribed in the Bible about how we practice Christianity. I'm sure that in some ways, when there's been debates and disagreements in churches about how things are done, that it would be so nice if the Bible told us how we should worship, whether you should use a guitar or a drum, or no instruments at all, or what we should wear, or what you should eat or drink. The Bible doesn't do those things, but it allows Christianity to adapt to the culture that it's in. Christianity is a very diverse religion in terms of how it is practiced throughout the world. Travel to another country, another continent, you'll find Christians believing exactly the same core truths that we're taught in the Bible, but they express it in a different way, in a way that fits their culture and their background. And the truths of Christianity speak to different cultures in different ways. So we see that we have a, so if you like, a British Christian, an African Christian, a Chinese Christian. There's different aspects that come out in the practice and the faith, holding to those core truths that salvation is through faith in Jesus Christ. One interesting study, one of the things I've been reading is about the Chinese church when the missionaries were expelled under communism. The part of the reason for that was to try and kill off the church in China, but actually the opposite happened. When the Western missionaries left, the Chinese leaders in the church grew up and took over the leadership, and the church became more Chinese and stronger. Even though it was persecuted, it became stronger and grew. So I think the lesson from this is that as society changes, the key for the church is not to change the truths that we hold to, but to adapt to the needs of society, because there are always needs that the church can meet, and Christianity especially can meet. Second point I want to bring out is that Christianity, there is a universally recognizable good in Christianity. We're all made in God's image and his common grace, and the conscience that he gives us overlap with Christian values that we hold to and those of any culture. Jesus tells his disciples in Matthew 5, "Let your light shine before men, that they may see your good deeds." If you think, well, that was to Jewish Christians, so he's talking about the Jews who were brought up with those core values. Peter, in his first letter, says, "Live such good lives amongst the pagans that they may see your good deeds and glorify God." Those deeds that we do, they're recognizable by any society, by any culture as good, and we are to practice them. The early church stood out for the way that it cared for the poor, it empowered women, it looked after the sick. Those things that they were recognized by society as being good deeds that society saw and acknowledged and valued from Christians, and led them to praise and worship God. There is so much more opportunity for how we can demonstrate the love of Jesus to those around us, to meet the needs and to do the good deeds as he's instructed us to do. The last point is that the church is growing, not dying. We feel maybe under pressure in the West because society is changing and is attacking Christianity in lots of ways. But though the church is under pressure globally, the church is increasing. We think of China, Korea over the last 30, 40 years, in Africa, in South America, the church is really growing and is very strong. So even in the West, we think of the West as Christian, but in many respects that's been a nominal thing. It's a tick on the box to say I'm Christian on the census, but that superficial, worthless religion is being replaced by living, spiritual, and dynamic Christian faith. The people who were nominally Christian are filling their lives with other empty gods. And faith in Christ is still the answer to that. So just as the church is growing in other countries, then we'll adapt to and meet the needs of the Western society, even as it's rejecting Christian faith. As Jesus is revealed in Revelation, the Lamb buying a people from every tribe, language, nation, and every culture, a multitude that no one can count, all worshipping God. There are challenges ahead, but be encouraged that the church is growing, that we can trust God that his plan will be fulfilled to have this vast multitude. And we can see how our actions and our deeds can shine and lead people to that faith in Christ. So I hope that was helpful. Something I've been thinking about over a number of months, so hope it was encouraging. We're going to sing, I'll share in a couple of songs now, and then Graham is bringing the message to us from the prayers of Paul.